afternoon and welcome back to Fresh Brew Marketing's YouTube channel. In today's In Conversation With, I'm speaking with Kerr, the Business Development Manager with the Jurassic Coast Trust, an amazing initiative and organization whose priority is really to promote awareness of and the protection of the amazing World Heritage Site that is the Jurassic Coast that runs along the Dorset coast. And he's going to be talking to me a little bit more about what life in lockdown has meant to them and how they've had to adapt their strategy. Coming up just after this. Hi everybody and welcome back. Guy, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super excited to be speaking to you about whatever's happening in lockdown with Jurassic Coast Trust.
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, great to be here.
Good. I want to just jump straight in. So, Guy, you work with the Jurassic Coast Trust. You're the Business Development Manager. And the whole reason for being for the Trust is to protect the amazing 185 million years. I can't even get my mind around that. But the years of history along our coastline, this amazing World Heritage Site. It's a coastline that typically, people want to actually see and visit in person and, see for themselves. But it's also a coastline that needs to be looked after and protected and all of that. So tell us a little bit more about the Trust, why it started and essentially what your vision is. Just give us some background.
Sure. So basically, the World Heritage Site was designated in 2001 by UNESCO. So that basically puts it in the same category as the Taj Mahal and the Grand Canyon and all these incredible sites around the world. And it's the only natural World Heritage Site in England.
Wow.
So we've got a lot of cultural sites like Bath and Tower of London, all those sort of places, but we're the only natural one.
Wow.
And like you say, it's 185 million years of Earth's history. It's the only place in the world where you can see the entire Mesozoic era, which was basically from the dawn to the death of the dinosaurs.
Wow.
So that's why we get all the incredible fossils. And it's just like this massive open air laboratory, basically, that people can go and explore, and incredibly diverse. And anyone who's ever driven along the coast road between, say, Portland and West Bay, and you can just see all the massive diversity of features and different rocks and everything we have. And, that is incredibly rare globally. So that's basically why it was set up. And since 2017, the Trust has been managing the site, so we took it on from the local authorities. And our remit, as you say, is to protect the site, so to look after and make sure there's no sort of nasty developments or things that are going to impinge on the value of the site, and then just massively around education and engagement. So getting communities to sort of understand more about it and to be able to benefit from it. So all the amazing sort of health benefits that you get from being on a coastline, and the economic benefits and everything else, and basically trying to sort of sustainably manage it for the betterment of everyone. That's sort of what we do. And our vision is that everyone loves, understands and enjoys it. So, that's a massive job, but we love it.
Fantastic. So just before I jump into the second question, tell me about your team. So I'm assuming you've got geologists on the team and you've got, people that coordinate volunteers and all that. Who are the people that work with the Trust?
That's right. So our CEO is Lucy, is very experienced in sort of running businesses and organizations. So she sort of heads us up. We've got Sam Scriven, he's our head of conservation and heritage. So he's a geologist, been with the team for many, many years now. As sort of Dorset boy, born and bred, sort of got the rocks in his veins, and he's
fully qualified to
absolutely,
do
you could not get anyone more qualified or more passionate really about the coast than him. Chris Reedman, he's just joined our team the last 6 months, so he's just completed his PhD in something that I probably can't even understand if he told me what it was, but it's to do with rocks and fossils. And if you get talking about fossils with him, hours will fly by and you won't understand a lot of it. But he's incredibly passionate as well, like Sam, and really has a link to all the fossil collectors, which is really important as well because they're a massive part of the community here. Myself, I've just moved into business development roles. So that's a lot of fundraising, writing funding bids, and developing like sustainable income streams. So like the business partner scheme that we have, all that sort of stuff. Caroline, she does our volunteer management and sort of the engagement role as well. So that's become massively important at the moment in lockdown, which I'll tell you more about later. But it's like keeping people engaged with stuff. Penny does our communications, so sort of all the social media and answering media inquiries and all that sort of thing. And we have Joanna who does our publications, so promoting those two shops. And then Stuart, who's our fossil warden, who is the guy that you would normally see out and about on the coast. Then we have Helen, who does all our finances, and she also has the famous Poppy, the little West Highland Terrier, who used to come into the office once a week and keep us all sane. So she's very important.
Fantastic, the office mascot.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So let's talk about lockdown and what that's meant for you guys. So although the lockdown has resulted in fewer visitors in person, which probably to some may appear like a good thing because you kind of leave it and let it be great. But a lot of what you do to raise funds for the work you do is based on the tourism industry. So how has this lockdown affected the work you do and, in being able to raise funds and awareness of the protection of the area?
Yeah, well, obviously it's had a massive effect on our business partners. So we've got about 75 different companies who very generously pay us an annual donation for us to promote them and for them to sort of help us look after the site, which is fantastic. We're just super grateful to all of those. And a lot of them are tourism businesses who are obviously massively suffering at the moment. So we are trying to help them as best we can and kind of figure out what we're going to do post-lockdown. So what sort of innovative things can we come up with to basically help them recover and rebuild after this period, while also keeping in mind obviously all the sort of questions around that. So it's just an absolute minefield, isn't it, really, at the moment. And then it's also all the museums and visitor centres that we work with. So there's a whole load of them that we refer to as a string of pearls. So that's everywhere from Derminster Museum, which is your local museum, down to sort of Exmouth Museum, and then Lyme Regis, all the way down to Dalston and Swanage Museum. So sort of trying to keep up with them, stay in touch with them, make sure that they're able to stay open, because they all play a massive role in helping to tell the story of the site. So it is tricky. It's hard to know sort of the best way to do or the best way to go ahead at the moment, but we're sort of trying to collaborate and keep in touch with people as much as we can to sort of help us.
So in talking about raising awareness, what are typically some of the things that you would do before lockdown? What are some of the activities that you would do?
Yeah, well, that was a brilliant time. Seems like a long time ago now.
Amazing.
I mean, because we have got that small team, we're very reliant on volunteers. So we have some absolutely brilliant volunteer-led events. So we do a lot of guided walks, which our ambassadors lead. So they're sort of local experts in the community who just know their geology back to front and can sort of lead a walk for people for several hours. So we do loads of those. There's some absolutely brilliant ones that we do, particularly through the Undercliffs reserves between Exmouth and Lyme Regis. That's a terrific one, and a lot down in sort of Purbeck around Warberry Bay and Tyneham. So they're always really popular. Sadly we've had to cancel a lot of those this year, which is a real shame. And then we do a couple of boat trips as well. So we've got two brilliant companies we work with, Stuart Line Cruises in Exmouth and City Cruises in Poole, and they basically gift us their boat for the night. Our ambassador gets on the microphone, does some chat. We do fish and chips for people. We normally have 100, 150 people along for each of those, and they're brilliant sort of evenings where you can just sit down and sort of look at the sunset and look at the geology and listen to a bit about it, which is fantastic. And then we do loads of family stuff as well. So last year we had our summer sleep out near Burton Bradstock, which was great. We had a whole load of families come along to that. And then we do a winter version at the County Museum in Dorset. The last one we did was actually with Dippy, and I think we did 5 or 6 sleepovers. Yes. Because the demand is just astronomical. You have no idea.
What you've done and left out.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. So, I've sort of run a lot of those, and every kid there, it's just like birthday, Christmas,
amazing,
and Easter and Disneyland rolled into one. Basically, that's the sort of atmosphere. So, it's very exciting, but it can be a lot of work. But we're looking forward to doing that again someday.
So in that same vein, obviously lockdown has forced a lot of businesses, and even just some of the interviews I've been having on this, people have had to develop a real hybrid model of being able to run their businesses to not only survive, but to continue and also ensure that there's something for visitors to see once the lockdown ends. So talk to me a little bit about how, what are some of the things that you guys have been doing to rely a lot more on digital engagement? Because obviously you've got to keep that conversation going, otherwise you may as well start from scratch again, You need to keep that going. Tell me a bit about some of the things that you are now doing during lockdown to keep that engagement going.
Sure. So Caroline, who I mentioned before, she's basically putting together this weekly home learning newsletter, which we're sending out to families. So people can just subscribe to that. It's completely free. It's all on our sort of Facebook page if you want to sign up. And that's just got brilliant activities that kids can get on with at home. Probably the most popular has been the Make Your Own Jurassic Park. So we've just had loads and loads of submissions from that, from sort of families all over the place, where they're sort of, the parents obviously told the kids, right, you go and do this. Then they've spent hours like constructing this
That's a great tip for
scene.
parents.
Yeah,
Parents,
it is. It really is. Yeah, anything that is a like leave them activity is a winner.
Is a winner.
So yeah, that's been fantastic, and you know, kids just really love dinosaurs and love that sort of whole aspect. You know, they just get really into it. And we've done a little prize. We're sending everyone like a fossilized shark's tooth. So yeah, that's just the icing on the cake, really. Fantastic. So we're doing that, and then we've got our members magazine. So that's Time to Inspire. We've got the new one coming out this week. So that's a real labour of love from everyone in the team. We all contribute to it. And this is a digital only version, obviously, this time. So normally we print it and post it out to people. But yeah, this one's going to be extra long because there's no word limits or anything. Yeah, so we've really gone into depth with a lot of subjects. So yeah, that's for all our members. So again, like, have a look on our Facebook page. You can see all the details of that.
Amazing. So we were talking about, very quickly, you mentioned earlier that you work with a number of other tourism initiatives and businesses, and you know, you work in partnership with them. So looking a little bit more broadly, this I mean, I'm sure that there have been times when it's been particularly tough on you as a team to be able to continue doing what you're doing. So what encouragement have you taken from the way that the tourism industry has reacted to this lockdown, which has actually been quite diabolical, let's face it, and especially now as we're about to go into summer, which is like your prime time. What encouragement have you taken from the industry itself and how they've been able to kind of move through this?
Yeah, well, it's really tricky. Like you say, it is quite diabolical. And we've seen a lot of sort of survey data that's come out from various DMOs in the area, just saying, you know, it really is quite bad. I guess because consumer confidence has just disappeared, so people don't know when they can book a holiday, and then the operators can't afford to keep their staff on, and you know, it's just really tough. So like I said before, with our business partners, we're just sort of trying to look at ways that we can adapt, I guess, and to be able to offer them sort of continued services going forward. And then on the other side of things, like looking at visitor management, which is basically like when the lockdown is over, like how are we going to manage this massive potential influx of people who've all been cooped up in cities for months.
So hungry to get out and explore.
Yeah, that's it. So we're just being really open and transparent with all the sort of other environmental organisations that we work with. So obviously, because we cover 95 miles of coastline, we have to work with everyone. So that's the AONBs, the National Trust, the local private landowners, all the councils and everything. So we're just trying to get a coordinated plan in place, basically, which is difficult at the moment because obviously we're all waiting on the government to sort of throw up the opening flag or whatever to sort of say, right, you're allowed out. And then from there,
even so, when they do, I doubt it's going to be, okay, open the doors, everyone get out. It'll be limited, it'll be phased, you know,
exactly.
We don't know what it looks like, but
certain age groups and all that sort of thing. And it's so hard because there's just so many types of accommodation and, you know, the second homes, and there's just, it's really complex, and it's a real fine balance to meet between obviously the tourism industry is massively important, and you know, a lot of people's livelihoods, and then the sort of concerns of the local community who quite rightly don't want to suddenly have, you know, thousands of people coming down here when we've, you know, like my local village of Charmouth, which is normally absolutely packed and, you know, hundreds of people on the beach, I've barely seen another person down there in the last month. So people here are really observing all the social distancing like impeccably and really sort of following it. And so that all that sort of hard won, I guess, territory, if you like, in this sort of battle that we're having, you know, is potentially going to be lost if you have millions of people coming down here. So we just need to like come up with a solution and make sure that everyone is sort of communicating the same thing and putting out
and doing it responsibly, you know. And I think and I like what you say. I think being transparent also about the challenges that you face, you know, is also a huge part of of that engagement process, because I think it resonates with people. If you tell someone don't do that, don't push that red button, you want to push that red button.
Yeah.
But if you kind of bring them into the fold and you collaborative and you're transparent and you're explaining why, people are more likely to respect that and to adhere to those guidelines, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, a big part of what we're going to do is around spreading people along the coast. So, you know, there's obviously the really sort of well-known, well-visited, very sort of crowded places, you know, particular beaches and things, which, you know, post-lockdown just going to be packed. But then there's loads of places that are absolutely brilliant, like Stonebarrow, which is a massive National Trust reserve, right next to Charmouth Beach, where you can walk around in the middle of August and not see anyone because everyone's at the beach. So that's the sort of thing that we want to promote, is like, right, you know,
you don't all have to go to the one place.
Absolutely, and you can still come here and observe all the proper guidelines and everything, but you're just going to have to go somewhere that's maybe not somewhere you've been before.
Lovely.
So yeah, just trying to sort of work on that really.
So this question I ask, and you've touched on it a little bit, but this final question is one that I ask all the people I interview. What have you learned from this lockdown period, or what anecdote can you share, and how has it changed the way you strategically plan your, you know, what you want to do in future, or, you know, how you run your business or life or interact with people, whatever?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been really interesting for us. We are sort of fairly dispersed geographically, I suppose, between sort of Axminster and Poole. That's sort of the disbursement of our staff. So being able to all work from home and have our sort of video chats once a week, it's actually been really nice. And shows that, you know, you can still get a lot of work done and still keep in touch in a lot of ways virtually. So obviously post lockdown, we're going to look at that and look at, you know, if we can be more flexible around that. And I've certainly found for my role, you know, I've been doing a lot of funding bids, and a lot of that you really just need to totally stick yourself in a room with headphones and just beaver away at it for hours, because, you know, it can be quite intense. So that's the sort of thing that's actually really well suited to working at home, where you're not, you know, distracted by everything you have at the office. But obviously at the same time, it is nice to, you know, see all your colleagues and have a cup of tea together and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it's just like, we know that that's now a mode that we can go into if we need to, which, you know, could definitely be helpful in the future, for sure.
It's interesting. It's interesting that you say that, because you know, I've spoken to a few people, and we've all kind of, certainly those of us who are used to an office environment and now are forced to work at home, you know, and even myself, where I am home office based, during this lockdown, you've kind of gone through ebb and flows of emotions and interaction with people, and it's been such an adjustment in learning how to work by yourself. Where sometimes it's, oh my word, it's wonderful. You know, working in an office, you think, if I can just have one day to myself where no one bothers me, that's heaven. Now we've got it, great. But the biggest thing that I miss is that personal interaction, you know, that being able to just quickly pop over to someone's desk and say, how are you doing? Or have a cup of tea with someone, you know, and it's that finding that balance actually. But I think, you know, as certainly what I've learned is going through this, you know, I've learned, okay, I know where my strengths are. I know where I need engagement with people, you know, so if anything, it's kind of teaching me a lot about how I work and how what I need and where I work well, you know. So it sounds like yours as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's like putting our magazine together at the moment. It's like, that would just be so much easier face to face, because it's lots of little jobs. It's like, oh, can you send me this? And what do you think of this? And which, you know, is not as easy to do. Virtually. Yeah, exactly. Whereas the sort of big catch up, you know, is actually fine to do.
Yeah.
So it's learning all those little subtleties and
amazing. Well, listen, Guy, it's been fantastic talking to you. I'm so thankful for your time, and I wish you guys all the best as you carry on flying the flag for Dorset, because I mean, I just love the Jurassic Coast. And yeah, all the best, and I look forward to being able to get out and explore looking for fossils on Charmouth Beach again soon.
Oh, thanks, Katie. Yeah, so do we.
No problem. And if you've been watching this interview today, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on this video. If you want to find out some more about it, all the details about the Jurassic Coast Trust will be put in the description of this video, so you can find out how to get involved and find out more about what Guy's team does. It'll all be in the description. But remember to subscribe to the channel so that you can also be notified of any future videos that do come up. But thanks for joining us today, and we'll catch you on the next one.